In the summer of 1969, 500,000 people gathered on a dairy farm in upstate New York for what would become the most famous music festival in history. Amid the mud, the rain, and the sheer electricity in the air, a man stepped onto the stage alone. He grabbed the microphone and led 400,000 strangers in a cheer that started with "Gimme an F" and ended in one of the most defiant, profane, hilarious anti-war statements ever captured on film. That man was Country Joe McDonald. His performance of "I-Feel-Like-I'm-Fixin To-Die Rag" became Woodstock's defining political moment, a raw, sarcastic middle finger to the Vietnam War that still feels urgent today. For more than 6 decades, Country Joe gave voice to protest, peace, and the absurd beauty of being alive in turbulent times. But yesterday, March 7, 2026, that voice fell silent. Country Joe McDonald passed away at the age of 84 in Berkeley, California, surrounded by family. His wife of 43 years, Kathy McDonald, confirmed the news. The cause was complications from Parkinson's disease, a condition he had fought privately for years. The counterculture lost one of its last authentic voices, and the world lost a man who never stopped believing music could change things. So let's go back to the beginning, to a boy named Joseph Allen McDonald who grew up to become the reluctant revolutionary known as Country Joe. Joseph Allen McDonald came into the world on January 1, 1942, in Washington, D.C., the son of Worden and Florence McDonald. His parents were both committed leftists, former Communist Party members who named their son after Joseph Stalin before renouncing the party and moving to California. They settled in the Los Angeles suburb of El Monte, where Joe grew up in a household filled with folk records, union songs, and political discussion. His mother was a librarian and his father worked for the telephone company, but music was everywhere. Joe taught himself guitar as a teenager, soaking up Woody Guthrie, Pete Seeger, Lead Belly, and the blues. He joined the Navy at 17, serving from 1959 to 1962, an experience that sharpened his anti-war views and gave him material he would later turn into songs. After discharge, he moved to Berkeley in 1965, the perfect place at the perfect time. The free speech movement was in full swing, the Vietnam War was escalating, and the San Francisco Bay Area was becoming the epicenter of a cultural revolution. In Berkeley, Joe met Barry the Fish Melton, and together they formed Country Joe and the Fish in late 1965. The name was a joke. Joe was Country Joe because of his love for folk and country music, and Melton was the fish from a running gag about a communist fish. They blended psychedelic rock, folk protest, and electric blues into a sound that defined the Haight-Ashbury scene. Their first EP in 1967 included "I-Feel-Like-I'm-Fixin To-Die Rag", a satirical anti-war tune set to a jaunty ragtime rhythm that made the horror of Vietnam impossible to ignore. The song became an underground anthem, and the band's debut album that year put them on the map. They played the Monterey Pop Festival in 1967, sharing the bill with Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin, and their live shows were electric, part political rally, part acid trip. But it was Woodstock that turned Country Joe into a legend. On Saturday afternoon, August 16, 1969, with the band delayed and Joe performing solo, he walked out, guitar in hand, and asked the massive crowd for a fish cheer. What followed was the infamous spelling of a 4-letter word that shocked some and delighted most, followed by the rag itself. The moment captured the spirit of the era, irreverent, angry, joyful, defiant. Michael Wadleya's documentary immortalized it, and suddenly Country Joe was a household name. Behind the public persona was a deeply private man shaped by love, loss, and quiet devotion. Joe was married 4 times. His first marriage to Kata Wareham in 1963 produced daughter Seven and McDonald, who later became a writer and producer. After that divorce he married Robin Menken, with whom he had more children. But it was his 4th marriage, to Kathy Wright in 1982, that became his lifelong anchor. Kathy, his wife of 43 years, was his partner in every sense, through the highs of fame, the lows of the music business, and the slow progression of Parkinson's that began stealing pieces of him in the 2010s. They raised a blended family of 5 children total and 4 grandchildren. Joe was a dedicated father and grandfather, often saying that family was the real music in his life. He spoke with deep emotion about watching his kids grow, about the pride he felt in their accomplishments, and about the simple joy of being present for them. In later years, Kathy became his caregiver as Parkinson's advanced, tremors, stiffness, the slow erosion of mobility and voice. Yet Joe kept performing when he could, kept writing, kept speaking out on peace and veterans issues. He was a Vietnam-era veteran himself and spent decades advocating for Vietnam vets through concerts and activism. The irony was never lost on him. The man who sang against war became one of its most eloquent chroniclers. Joe's lifestyle was never about excess, even when fame peaked. After the 1960s, he settled in Berkeley, living in the same house for decades. A modest place filled with guitars, books, and family photos. He loved the Bay Area's intellectual and musical community, staying close to the land and the people. He wasn't flashy, no private jets, no mansion collections. He drove sensible cars, ate simple food, and spent his money on family, causes, and the occasional fishing trip. In his later years, as Parkinson's took hold, his world grew smaller but no less rich. Time with Kathy, visits from children and grandchildren, quiet mornings with coffee and the newspaper. He continued to perform sporadically into the 2020s, often sitting while he sang, his voice still carrying that unmistakable warmth. He released his final album in 2017, a reflective collection called *50*, looking back on a half-century of music. He sold his publishing catalog in recent years, securing financial comfort for Kathy and the family. Financially, Joe was comfortable but never ostentatious. At the time of his passing, his net worth was estimated between $2 million and $5 million, built from decades of royalties. The Fish Cheer and Rag still generate income, live performances, reissues, and the catalog sale. He never chased wealth, he chased meaning. He donated to veterans' causes, environmental groups, and peace organizations, living modestly so he could give back. His home in Berkeley was cozy, filled with memories rather than luxury items. The end came quietly. Parkinson's had progressed for more than a decade, slowing his movements, softening his voice, stealing pieces of independence. Yet Joe faced it with dignity, still writing, still connecting with fans online, still laughing at life's absurdities. On March 7, 2026, complications from the disease took him peacefully in Berkeley. Kathy was at his side, along with family. The statement from his camp was simple and loving. A man who gave so much joy had finally found rest. Country Joe McDonald's life reminds us that protest music isn't just noise, it's a heartbeat, a conscience, a refusal to look away. He gave us songs that made us laugh at the darkness, think about the madness, and believe we could change things. He was a husband, father, grandfather, veteran, activist, and artist who never stopped caring. In an era when voices like his are rare, his music still speaks angry, funny, tender, true. If Country Joe's voice ever moved you, if Fixin' to Die Rag or Feel Like I'm Fixin' to Die ever hit you in the gut, or if his life of conviction and kindness touched you today, please hit that like button and subscribe so we can keep telling these stories of the people